Okay, take two. Yay, we made it.
Are we?
Yes.
Because I didn't see you in the little thing, so I thought you were gone and I was going to be the only one here. And I was going, hi, I'm Devin Evans, and welcome to Truth Bumps.
It would have been an awesome show.
Yeah, but I still don't see nobody's.
I see 6 viewers, and I confirmed on Facebook you can see our video.
Yay!
Got some comments. Who's in with us? Hi, Gail. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Julie. Hi, Barbara. So nice to see everyone here.
What the heck is that? Somebody trying to call me at the same time?
Hi, Kelly.
What the heck? Who's trying? Okay, Greg, stop calling.
Greg, just jump in. Watch the show. He tried to call me. I had to decline it because we were going live. But hey, welcome, everyone. Welcome to Truth Bumps. You're not special on this show unless you've got some technical difficulties during Mercury retrograde. So now that we've gotten that off, we can check mark and move on. Like
Stacy Tatera said last night, Mercury's being sassy.
She is. I am.
Sassy.
I know. I don't always have issues with Mercury retrograde, but this one is notable. So
this is crazy. I had it too, and I never had problems on my show. It was kind of really weird last night.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you're here.
All right, we're up and running, and we got peeps, and we got chat rooms. And hi, Barbara. Hi, Julie. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Gail. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Julie. Hi, Danny. Woo! We got a gang, so at least they can see us.
Woohoo! The gang's all here. Yep, Danny. We battled those off. It was epic in epic proportions. It could have made a great 3-part movie, but we're here. And so happy to be here. Thank you, Scotty, for being my guest, the one and only Scotty Rorek. So much a pleasure to have you here, teacher and mentor.
I'm happy to be here. Very, very honored that you asked me.
Oh, thank you so much.
I can brought out my fancy vest.
I know. You're looking very clever.
And I slicked all my hair back tonight, so it doesn't even look like I got Doc's from Back to the Future hair today. It's there. If you turn, see it? There it goes. There, it's back there, but it's hiding.
Well, you look amazing as always. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're donning. Always such style and grace. Thank you so much.
Say that I'm donning my gay apparel.
It's snowing like it's Christmas.
Oh my God, is it ever?
Even
we got downgraded a little bit. It was supposed to be 6 to 12, and now it's like 3 to 6. And Terry was just outside and said it's about 3, so we're okay.
Oh goodness! Even Columbus, Ohio, is getting dumped on. We've gotten significant snow, and it doesn't look like it's going to go away in the next couple weeks. This is the first real winter that Central Ohio has had in 3 or 4 years, actually.
Ours is 10. We've not had this much snow since 2010-11.
Wow.
So, yeah, this is 10 years, or almost 10 because it's 1. So, well, it would be 20, 21. Yeah, same thing. 10 years. I can't do math. After I got out of college, done.
You were that person that was like, all right, I don't need it ever again.
I was so done with school. Oh my God. By the time I got out of college, I had 2 degrees, though. That was the good thing. I had 2 Bachelor of Science degrees. And I was just tired. I made it in 4 years, and I that last day when I was walking over, I go, never again.
Yeah.
Never again. And now I'm going to be the teacher, but that's a lot different.
Being on the other side of the desk is a lot.
Yeah. I couldn't do school one more bit. I was like,
yeah, I remember the last day of my last math class ever, and I celebrated hard that night. I was very excited to be done with math forever. Science is not a problem, but I didn't like math so much.
And the key word everybody heard is, she said, that night. There was like only one party night the whole time she went to school, and it was that night.
Well, because
mine was probably, that was the night I didn't party. I'm just saying. Every other night was.
Well, it's because I went to school when I was 35 and working full time. So that's when I got my bachelor's.
Doesn't matter. Once you're in school.
Single mom, working full time, party all the time.
Stay home, babe. Going out drinking again tonight.
I got that bachelor's, and I'm also very glad to be done with that. So,
me too.
So, well, on to equally.
I'm on Truth up, for God's sake.
I know. On to equally nefarious topics.
Wow, I'm so excited to be on Truth Bumps. And the cool thing is I got Devin on this side of me right there, see up in the screen. And then I got Devin on this, or no, this side of me in her regular self. So I'm surrounded by Devins tonight.
Most people would say that you should go to a doctor for that, but tonight we'll allow it.
I wonder if I get that with my COVID shot.
Start seeing doubles of everyone. So, Scotty, if there's anyone out there, it's very unlikely, anyone out there who doesn't know you, if you would please introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, how we came to meet.
Well, I'm Scotty Rorek. I'm a psychic medium. I've had abilities since I was a kid. So I started, first time I ever saw a spirit was like around 5, 6 years old. And we lived in a ranch in Franksville, Wisconsin. And my room was at the back corner. It was awesome. I had red shag carpeting. It was awesome. Beautiful room. Beautiful room. And this was the late 60s, early 70s. So you know the colors and how the room looked. So it was great. And so at the end of the night, when I went to bed, I would go to bed, and at first I just, the door was open and I go to sleep, and all of a sudden here comes these people down the hallway and they sit on my bed and talk to me at night. I'm like, okay, hey, cool, how are you? Who are you? And we'd talk and we'd have a good time, and I find out there's somebody's grandma, from down the street, or grandpa, or aunt, uncle, cousin, whatever it is, great grandpa, and all over the place. So it's kind of fun. And then I would tell the kids, hey, I met your great grandpa last night. And they go, he's dead. I said, well, I talked to him then. And so that was not a great thing to say in the late 60s, early 70s.
It wasn't making you friends? No,
that was terrible. And but I personally learned, and that's what I even teach now, that when I shut my door to my room at night, nobody came in. So it was one of my first early learnings that I could control my conversations with spirit. And because I would shut the door, and I wouldn't say what it is then, but I could say it now, you know what I mean? So when I look back at it. But it was really weird because, I was getting picked on by everybody because, they said, you're weird because you're talking to ghosts and stuff like that. And here's a haunted house. Let's go down there. Yeah. Oh, and they all left me there like they were going to scare me. And I thought it was cool because I talked to all the people there. It was really neat. But then I ended up, because I was always telling jokes, and I still do. But I would call them, I would call the ghosts that I saw bakers. And I call them bakers because to me, whenever I see a spirit, even today, they're way more white, and so they're a lot of opaque, and you can see them. So who's all that? Like Chef Ramsay, all white. So I would call them bakers, and I thought, oh, that's so cool. Everybody's going to think it's funny. Actually, everybody thought it was freaking weird. It's actually worse. What was weird is later there was a movie called Rocket Man, and they talked in there. He was talking about, hey, did you ever see when you were young bakers? I'm like, oh, thanks for listening to my story and telling it. But I thought it was very funny. I was like, how? Anyway, bakers.
Yeah, no, I think that's
people wrote that down. I'm just gonna say, and took my baker's idea. But so that went on in school. I mean, school was terrible. I told all my friends, neighbors, everybody, and it just was weird. That's the first time that I started seeing auras too, because I would go to church and I thought that the stained glass windows were the auras. I saw that they, like the red one would come out of this window and go onto you. The yellow one would go onto that person. The green would over here. The purple there. And then I would always leave church for the day and nobody had them. I was like, oh yeah, it's got to be the windows. And then one week I walked out of church and everyone still had them. And I was like, how's that? How can people have it when there's no stained glass windows? Yeah. So it wasn't until many, many years later that I knew that was auras that I saw. So, but that's early on. And then all the way up into, so I turned it off actually for a while because I just couldn't handle it anymore. So it wasn't until right before I went to college, and it was the early '80s then. So a completely different time, and Ghostbusters came out, so that was kind of fun. So it was a really cool time for me because here in school, so I went to the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh. I was getting my degree in theater and television, and just like I said in math, I got 2 degrees. So I was going up the stairs in the middle of the day to the prop room, and I walk in, open the door with my keys, walk in, and there's a lady standing right in front of me. And of course, I screamed and yelled and ran. And then everybody came out of all the classrooms because it's up where the classrooms are, asking me what was going on, why was it, what happened, And I said, well, I saw a ghost. And then I realized I just came out again. I'm like, damn it. But now this is the '80s, and it was right about the same time Ghostbusters came out. But it was the '80s, and because that movie came out, the girls actually thought it was really cool because they all said to me, "Hey, you want to go out on a date? We could talk ghosts." Okay. And so my calendar was booked for months.
That's great.
So I tell everybody that's why I'm still in. That's why I'm still in, because I get to be with all the pretty women. So
it's a chick magnet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, that was that's when I saw ghosts again. So full body apparitions, and I met a lot of souls from then. And then keep moving forward in time. Most of the time I was too busy raising my family and making money and working all the time, and it happened a lot. But I never put 2 and 2 together, even through those years, that it was my abilities that I knew. Spirit was talking to me, so I was great at building teams. You know what I mean? So because I was using all my gifts in my business world, so I knew when things were going to happen. So didn't put that together until later in life. And then become more modern. All the ghost shows started coming out, and one of the funniest one was I went to a convention because I was on Z Talk Radio. I mean, that's where I am now. But I was on Parax Radio when they first started. It was one of the first shows, and we all went to the conference together. We were all there, and there was a gentleman on the show. His name was Patrick Burns, and Patrick was the headliner. He was on the show. Oh gosh, I'm blowing the show name. Sorry, Patrick, forgot the name. But it was like one of the first major shows. They had Patrick, they had a medium, and they would go around solving cold cases.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Hunting evidence. Yeah, that was it. Hunting evidence. And so that was on like at the beginning. And so he was giving us all the stuff. And in his lecture, he goes, yeah, there was a guy that I used to work with at Six Flags that it was really cool because he saw ghosts then. And I knew from that moment on, he always told me ghosts weren't scary. And he goes, I have always been in ghosts because I listened to this guy that I worked with. So after the show, we sit down at the bar, and I asked him to be on my radio show. Like he asked me to be on, and I said, and he goes, sure, I'll come on. And so we were talking, and I said, so where are you from? He goes, Illinois. I said, well, I'm from Racine, so I'm close enough. But I said, if I used to work in Illinois. He goes, where'd you work? I said, Six Flags. He goes, so did I. And I said, what year did you work? I said, mine was 84 through 88, all through school to pay for school. And he goes, well, I was there at 87. I said, wow. And then he goes, so what ride were you on? And I said, the American Eagle, the wood roller coaster. He goes, so was I. And we looked at each other, and we go, Patrick, Scotty. And we knew exactly who each other, because we worked together.
Oh, that's cool.
And come to find out, because we watched Ghostbusters together, we would watch it all the time. Come to find out that guy in his lecture was me.
Oh, wow.
Synchronicities of life, huh?
Yeah, isn't that amazing? I just love that there are no coincidences in life. And if you're meant to meet up with someone, you're going to. Like, you can't avoid it.
Yeah, like you and me.
Yeah, just like you. Oh, I just got truth bumps. Ah.
I got truth bumps. I love it.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, then the ghost hunting shows came out. And I had Derek Acora. He was the psychic medium for Most Haunted, the show from England, which they would run around, scream, and yell. You know, Vet was always like, ah, and all this type of stuff. But he was on there, and I had him on my radio show to, we had him on to talk. And so it was really cool to meet him. But he ended up giving me a reading that night.
Oh.
And he told me everything that I would do up until today. He told me that night.
Oh.
He told me how Steve and I were going to be bigger than him and Sam. That I was going to lectures, TV, film, radio, gallery readings, teaching classes, teaching in a school, blah, 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 blah. Everything that I've always done, he told me we were going to do that night. So it was kind of cool. He just died about a year ago. And I talked to him before because I wanted to start writing my book. And I wanted to make sure he was in there. And if I could use it, he goes, yeah, anything for you, Scott. But I had to thank him because I was just like, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Derek Acora. So, and he took it out of his time to do it. And that's why I'm me. That's why I do it too, because I'm actually paying it forward. Because if somebody like that could spend a moment with me and help me guide myself in my life and make me something, I'm definitely going to do that to help others.
And you have not only with me, but I've seen it with person after person after person, the way that you've helped people. It's absolutely just been a literal godsend and a gift to those of us that in this critical time of the world and the shift in the dynamics, as we're hearing more, we're seeing more, we're being more open because we're slowing down. We need more people to guide us to and through those gifts. And I don't think it was any coincidence that you and I had met maybe just 4 or 5 short months before the whole COVID thing dropped. And
right.
All the stuff that just kind of unfolded for me at that time. I can look back and say, yep, that was perfect divine order in the way that it all kind of came together.
Yeah, it was funny, and I still can't remember. I always say I have my Biden moments. That's why I put my Biden hair on tonight, just in case I can't remember something. And I could say, come on, man. I just do that, and everyone will think it's funny. So, but I don't remember how we reconnected, because I remember meeting you at Victory of Light. That's where we met first, and that's a wonderful show. And like I said before we came on the air, it's sold, but they're going to still call it Victory of Light. Mind, Body, Spirit shows picked it up on it. So one of the big spiritual shows across the country, they bought it. So it's going to be kind of cool. And they want to move it around. They had one place that gave me a thing. They asked me, would you like it in Columbus? I said, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, 100% yes. But that's funny. But I don't remember how we reconnected after that, because do you? I don't.
I do. It was so funny. So just to recap, the time that you and I had met, I was just starting to reconcile ending my corporate career of over 20 years of corporate experience. And I was definitely done with it. And I had just received, you had just confirmed, without knowing me, without having met me or heard anything about it, you had actually just confirmed everything and more from a reading I had just accidentally gotten a week before I'd met you. It was actually her reading that led me to you, where you also confirmed whatever. So, and that's when I met you and Terry and the whole Psychics Unite. And I was very excited starting this psychic gift journey of mine and being a reader myself. I was very excited to have the Psychics Unite footprint in Columbus, Ohio. And I was so honored that you guys invited me to lead that chapter. And I was excited because I had no idea what was coming, but I was ready to go. That's fair. But I was like, I contacted you guys. I'd reached out a couple times over the next couple of weeks, but I hadn't heard back. Well, and the reason why I didn't know at the time is that I was going to wrap up my career at the time and then kind of go through this like energetic purge and healing that, really kind of wiped me out for a couple of months. And so about the time that I was starting to come back up out of that was also the time that COVID had hit. And out of the blue, I was invited to a Psychics Unite meeting. And that's when you guys had started the all chapter meetings over Zoom on Mondays. I was like, oh, yes, I do this. I want to, I jumped at it and I was so excited. And that's how we reconnected. I don't know. I don't know whose guide put what peg in what hole, but that's how it happened.
We all know it was Steve.
Yeah. Yeah. He does a lot of great work. Not only with
I just started working with Gail, and his Steve picks on Gail every day now. Those two got into it now all the time too. He gets into it with everybody. He likes it.
Yeah. He and he's such a fantastic support. I mean, not only for me personally, but also my guide and some of the things that we've been working on. It's just been like, it's not a coincidence that you and your guide were the teacher and the mentors that my guide and I had met. So,
right.
Yeah. And it's been a really fast roller coaster ever since April.
Oh my God, yes. But in some ways it seems so many years too. You know what I mean? Even though it's only been the short months, but the amount of work we've done, the amount of stuff that we've gotten accomplished has been spectacular, in this short time. And the amount of people that are coming to Psychics Unite now is just incredible. And we invite everybody watching that hasn't been to a meeting to come to a meeting. Fun free. Go to our website. You can see all the information there at psychicsunite.com.
Yeah, absolutely. The Monday night meetings have been amazing. Always so informative, so open and so friendly, and I highly recommend it. Even if you're feeling a little intimidated by an online meeting, please don't let that hook you up. If you need any technical support, I'm offering. You can always reach out to me and we can figure out Zoom together. But yeah, it's been awesome. So couldn't recommend that enough. So that's where we're at. That's where I'm at.
So that's me in it's supposed to be the short form, but that was the short form, just so you know.
Short form. I
could go for hours just talking about myself.
That's good though, because a lot of people that I know are like, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. I'm like, I like cheese, like they clam up. They don't know. It took me a while to get acquainted with my own story too. I mean, geez, I had myself fooled that I had no abilities for a large part of my life, and then I'm like, oh my God, that's what I did. Oh, that's what I did. I didn't see as much as a child, as much as I heard.
Right.
And I didn't see with my physical eye. I still saw with my mind's eye quite a bit, which is always one of the big, I think, things that trip people up when they say clairvoyance. They always think you have to physically see.
Right. But that's where I was strong when I was a kid. I physically saw. I saw them everywhere. Yeah. And now in time, I still see, but not as much. I do way more channeling now because I let spirit come through and just use my voice, because it's a lot easier than for me to listen to them and then go, okay, da 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 da, okay, da 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 da, and it puts a big pause in it. And I found it in my readings, that put a pause in it. But once I started channeling and just trusting them and allowing them to just use my voice and my vocal cords, it becomes a lot easier. And it's kind of funny now. People go, "Oh, you sound just like my dad." I go, "Yeah, because it is your dad."
Right. Well, and that's when when we met at Victory Light and you had given me a reading when my grandma came through, you started cussing. You're like, "Oh, I never do that." And I'm like, "Well, that's Wanda." We're a proud line.
Yeah, my dad does that too.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's so much, it just seems so much easier for me because I'm just a radio. Like, where was I talking today? Oh, I was talking with some people and they asked me about the events I went to. I said, well, I'm just the man on the poster. So how do you define yourself? I don't know, the man on the poster.
Yeah, and that's been one of
the. Is that a good description? I don't know.
Well, That's one of the greatest gift. I don't know, because one of the things that I've been through you have learned that you show up as a humble messenger. As much as you can remove yourself from the message and just allow it to flow through you, almost like a radio wave.
Yeah, it is.
That's the most sincere and pure message that you can give. And so I love the idea of I'm always like, I'm a Leo, so I joke. There's a lot of jokes there, but
I'm a Sagittarius.
Huh?
I'm a Sagittarius.
Yeah. Well, yes, we're both fire. We're both very fiery. Different qualities of fire, but both fire.
Oh, yeah.
But that aside, I remaining humble, I think, is very critical to the work, and just being so grateful to be chosen for this work and showing up.
And like I said, when I was teaching, because everybody knows I taught you, that's what makes me so proud is that you can be that humble servant too. And to me, that's the biggest thing about mediumship. It's not the fact that look at what I did, because you didn't do shit.
Right. Right.
Sorry, Grandma. Grandma came through again.
What came through? Yep.
You know what I mean? Well, we didn't. I mean, we really don't. We did the time, we practiced. We've dedicated ourselves to this. We've learned what we could. So in that aspect, yes, I'm proud of that. But the message I do nothing for. I do nothing with. I just give it the way it's supposed to be. And that's the other biggest thing, is not to embellish your message, because your message is right the way it is supposed to be. You don't have to make it angry to be right. And that's going to tie into tonight's topic. But you really don't. You don't have to tie anything into it. The more you give the message exactly the way, and like now it just comes out. So any way it comes out, I'm just going to give it, because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with that, let me just see if we've got any questions here.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, please feel free. It's hard not to host. I'm just telling you that.
Well, you're being an amazing guest. Henry says to say hi. You were with him, Henry Foister. You were with him on his first investigation.
Okay, so I'm going to say I love you, Henry, more than anyone in the world. And yes, I was on your first investigation. Great night. But I've never been on his radio show. Ever. Never. Never. Not once, never. Nope, nothing. Never. Not asked, nothing. No.
I planted that seed a little bit last week when I was on the show. I was like, Scotty says hi. And
so Henry, now how about that day when they were going, oh, we got this show we're all at ParaX. We got this show. And I go, Henry, don't you need to be on that show? Don't you need to host it? Don't you remember that night? I'm just telling you.
So hint.
Henry is amazing, by the way. He is probably one of the, like, just like I was talking about before, one of the probably the most humble man I've ever met. He is such a wonderful, loving soul, incredible, and he knows I joke with him, but it is just he's just another one of the people in the field that are just spectacular, and those are, there's a bunch in the chat room right now, so I'm what's the word? Come on, man.
You're just overwhelmed by love and gratitude, which happens so often in our game.
Right, and it draws around you, because if you're that, then people seek that, and that's what's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my new thing. Like, come on, man. I'm just going to use it.
So anyone who's
in already.
Henry's a host of the Paranormal View on ParaX Radio every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Last week, I had the pleasure of being a guest, and we had a fantastic time. He was, and his co-hosts were very gracious and very humble, and we had a great time, great jam session. So highly recommend, and also highly recommend you as a guest.
Thank you.
Hi, I do. Thank you so much. You can find me on Devin Evans Psychic Medium on Facebook, and would love to connect with you there and see if we can, offer any messages that are available to you. And hi, Julie. All right, so we're going to get into our juicy topic for tonight, and this is where I encourage any questions, because, and Scotty, I think you'll agree, we don't have it all figured out. This is just as much as we know in at this point. And one of the earliest messages I ever received, years before I even met you, Scotty, was that always acknowledge your experiences, but always be open to learning more. So, acknowledge your experience as you know it today. And if something changes your mind down the road, then it changes your mind down the road, and that's okay.
I agree, because that's a great point, because I always said, and I still always say, if right now I call what I do mediumship, if someday down the road science proves that I do something with wormholes, or I can travel dimensions with energy, or I'm great at string theory, then I said, good, I'm a string theorist. You know what I mean? Whatever it's called whatever it is. But I know what I do, and I know how I do it, and so that's why I call it mediumship at this time.
Yep.
It could always change.
Very good point. So I wanted to talk about the topic of really low vibrating negative entities, things like demons, curses, other negative entities that, because I think you and I agree, we have pretty similar, and that's not the reason why I invited you. We could disagree, and that'd be great too.
Right, but yeah, no, that's the thing. We do really agree with each other on our ideas. So we're
Yeah.
going to come at it from only one point tonight.
Yeah. We
where like my friend Bill Bean would come from totally the opposite side.
Of course, and we know, and I've got several friends too who come from the opposite side, and I understand that it can be an emotionally charged subject, because if your personal experience has felt like an attack from a demon, then I don't want to discredit that and take that away from you. Only asking that you may consider different ways to discern that event or that message. But I did want to bring up the topic of demons. And we Hollywood has taken this topic and just run with it. But even before Hollywood ran with it, the idea and the notion and the concept was planted in a lot of different religious sects, and but today it's more prevalent in what we see in media, TV shows, radio shows, movies.
There's a whole TV show just for him, Lucifer.
Right.
So I mean, even today it still continues.
Yeah, and they romanticize it, right? They make him funny, make him witty,
very handsome.
Yeah, the anti-hero, the underdog. You like to. All of that aside, I'm very interested to hear what's been your experience with demons, and how do you categorize them or define them?
Well, let's start out even farther back before demons. Let's start talking about hell first, because you got to kind of start there. If you look back in history, hell was a Norse goddess, and this is like the first time that hell was around. And the Norse goddess was spelled H-E-L, not H-E-L-L. It was H-E-L, and she was the goddess at death that would take your body, and she would burn you. So, okay, burning body, there you go. You got the understanding. But she burnt all the imperfections out of you so you can enjoy heaven peacefully. You can enjoy the afterlife peacefully, where you're no longer burdened by all that earthly crap, because she took it off of you. And so if you look at that in its first form, you could see where the demon came in, later on, because with the fire and the brimstone and all of the bad things, so you could see where it came from. But it was of a place of happiness. It was a good thing to have hell come to you and clean your soul. So that was kind of neat. I mean, even in ancient Greece, if you look at too, because they were one of the first ones to have the word demon in their words, but their demon, spelled a little differently, of course, but was more of a loving soul, overarching soul, somebody that would help again. So once again, you got this um, supernatural being that's here to help, that's here to guide and give you, good things. So that's, so if you go through history, you'll find that all over the place. And then until nations that didn't want you to talk. So my opinion is when the nations, every nation since the beginning of time had a prophet, a medium, soothsayer, whatever you want to call them,
Wise woman, sage person. Yes.
Zoltar, I don't care. You could just name it all. But and then on one hand that was the person. Then on the other hand was the warrior. And then at the top was the king, queen. But that's how they ran their kingdoms. With those three. That was the power. Because the sage would always tell the warrior exactly what they saw and what was going to happen. The warrior listened, and that's how they conquered, because they knew spirit was with them, and then the queen king was happy. So, but later in life, and I think where we see it all. I mean, there's so much to go into the history that we could be here for a week just talking about different histories of demons. Even Native Americans had demons, but still not the same thing. But then when Rome came around in that area, then they found out that if people have the knowledge, then they're not as strong.
That's it. I really believe a lot of this started to come into a fear-based control to protect knowledge. Because knowledge is power, and for centuries we have tricked ourselves into thinking it's only powerful if we keep it to ourselves.
Correct.
When in reality it's powerful when we share it.
Right, exactly. That's mediumship too. That's why people say, "Oh, can I use your teachings?" Of course.
Yep.
Because I'm not the first one. Spirit gave it to me. I didn't create them. I'm just listening. So
Yep.
I'm here. I put it in a different format than everybody else. And I use different words, but it's the same thing that's been going on forever. Shamanic journeys. I do a shamanic journey, but I call it something different, but that's what it is. But yes, of course, give it. And the more we can give each other the knowledge, the better this world's going to be. And I think that's where it came down from, the hell that if you don't listen to us, you're going to hell.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So first of all, everybody knows I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in it. I've been doing readings now, what I said, since the 60s. I've been speaking to spirits. I've never personally had an experience where I saw hell or understood hell. Okay. Now there's a caveat, so don't go too crazy yet if you're watching this at home. But I do believe in evil. That's a difference though. And because evil's a way low energy. But anyway, we'll get into that in a second. But I've never seen it. I have never had it in a reading. I've never had a spirit come to me and say, "Oh, they're stuck in hell," or even in any way reference that word to me in any reading of any spirit that I've ever seen, even though they were a-holes. In life, they're right there talking to you. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. So that's where I first believe. I don't believe there's a hell. So because I don't believe in hell, I don't believe in Satan anyway, because I just don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it gets a little difficult in this whole thing, talking about it. Even if you believe that, but see, to me, what is evil to me is somebody at one time that knew right and wrong and chose not to do it. And to me, that's where the toughest thing in this whole thing is, when we're talking about this, is a demon was a creature that was created to make us do wrong. That's not evil.
No, they're just doing their nature.
Yeah, they're just doing their job. That's like a dog.
Yeah. When I watch Aliens, I always feel bad for the mother alien, the queen, because I'm like, she is literally just doing her procreation, and you're all up in her business. Yeah, no, that's just their nature. It's very, like, if they existed in that, I agree 100%.
So to me, that's not evil.
No.
So you're making up stuff to increase, and that's why I was talking earlier. You know, a lot of times we do a lot of ghost hunting. We work with a lot of mediums. You know, and I always tell everybody that's out there, what is the difference between evil, anger, frustration, and despair?
Well, I mean, yeah, those
Very similar
emotions,
emotions.
yep, those emotions left unchecked will cause you to do things from malicious intent, which then goes into that evil category.
Right.
Um, I do want to say this. Just because you do something out of malice or you do something that's considered evil, I don't believe it's an unforgivable event.
No, it's
And I
not.
think a lot of people, like, if they turn that line or if they cross that line, they're like, "Well, there's no going back now," which kind of feeds into that whole hell-bound type of scenario. I can't be forgiven, I can't forgive myself, and then it just kind of perpetuates itself.
Right, right. You know, and that's the thing, because I never believed the road to reformation is closed to anyone,
Mm-mm.
here or hereafter. You know, we have our free will. You know, and we talked about it on my show a lot. But if everybody doesn't know, I talk about the difference between ghosts and spirits. Spirits are our loved ones who have crossed all the way over, you know, to what you want to call heaven, the oneness, universe, whatever you want to call it. Or it's our loved ones who haven't crossed and are still stuck here because they have unfinished business. They want revenge. They gotta live in that earthly emotions. And to me, that's the saddest person around is those beings in that realm, because they're past and they could be so close to pure happiness, but they're just a step away. You know,
And that, and you
to
and I
me, that's hell.
yes, I was gonna say that to me is the closest thing to hell that I've ever experienced, and it's very similar to if we're feeling even in our human alive state in this 3D place, if we are constantly subjecting ourselves to a low vibrating negative energy or feeling, like if we want to sit there and feel sorry for ourselves or we want to beat ourselves up over something or a mistake that we did, that I think is a different level, but along the similar lines, like that's just how we kind of perpetuate our own suffering on either plane.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that, because I find a lot that, you know, and this is one of the tenets of the spiritualist faith, is that we make our own happiness or unhappiness. You know, because and a lot of times, a lot of things that we make unhappy is because we don't accept what happened as our fault. You know, we blame others, we blame the things like that, and that's the emotions that you would as hell. You know what I mean? Because we're making it. And I've had a lot of people tell me, "Oh, this is hell on earth." Yeah, it is. It really is, because we're controlling it. You know, and so is the ghost. You know, the spirits crossed over and they come back from love. They're with everybody. They know the universe is beautiful, but the ghosts are just as bad because they chose it themselves. They could cross over at any time, but they're not willing to, because that's the one thing we carry in our life is free will.
Yep, absolutely. And so that leads me into my next topic, free will. Free will is one of the
How did I
most
come up with that? I'm
yeah.
not psychic.
Free will is like the biggest, most honest truth I've ever heard. And I think it's one of those that we take for granted. We hear it, we're like, yeah, 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 free will. But if you take a moment and you really think about all the different layers that free will affects, it is immense. The magnitude of it is immense. Someone has the free will to trespass against you, but you have the free will to overlook that and create your own happiness. Um, with that said, you've got things like curses that are placed upon others. And the whole idea of a curse is removing the free will from someone. And I personally think a curse is what you allow to happen. It's an idea or a concept that if you believe you're cursed, you are.
Right.
Uh,
I,
what do you,
I agree. I was cursed once in my life. We were at a Paracon in Pensacola, Florida. I had one of my friends, Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer. He was on my show. Go to Psychics Unite YouTube page and watch that one. See, I'm getting good at that, dropping the pages. But anyway, Mark was on one end of the dais and I was on the other. And Bob Sankner, who also was on my show. Anyway, so Bob and I were I was on one and Bob was in the middle. And the whole thing came on Ouija boards. And I said in front of the whole crowd, I said, Ouija boards aren't bad. I said, because at Parker Brothers or whoever makes it, I said, at Parker Brothers, they don't have a team of demons that sit down at the end of the line. And when a board comes by, they hop into the board and then they go with it to your house. That just doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. I said, the Ouija board is just like anything else we use out there, even recorders, dowsing rods, K2 meters, you name it, pendulums, it's all divination tools. That's what they are. And it's the intent of the user behind it that's what causes it. Oh, I don't know what comes through. Well, then you should be in charge of it and understand what you're bringing or what you're talking to. Are you talking to the lower energies? You're not talking to a demon because we just talked about that. It's not there. But you're talking to lower energies and you're bringing them through. Mm-hmm. You know, so, and the lady goes, well, my mom's really good. And I said, well, I apologize. And I said, I'd be more than happy to work with your mom. But I said, but she called on the lower energies herself. And she went off. And Mark goes, yep, I agree with Scotty. So the two mediums on the thing and a couple other the investigators all believe the same thing. And so they went off on us. And I said, okay. And so she cursed me in front of everybody. And the next day I met Christopher St. Booth at breakfast and we started talking and I got cast in a movie that day.
Wow. That's
and everything in my life has happened since the curse has been there. So I wanted her to come back and curse me again. Maybe I'll get a TV show now.
I would also like some of that curse, please.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you. You know, so she literally was stink-eyed and everything, you know, in front of the whole crowd, you know, getting everybody worked up. And I was like, okay, thanks. But it was the best thing to happen. Once again, it's you. If you determine that it's a curse that's affecting you, it's actually you accepting the fact and making it happen because you're bringing that energies towards you. That's all it is. That's all a curse is. Yeah. Because we get so caught up in it, you know, we always think of it. You know, my biggest curse that I've ever saw was the Chicago Cubs because they got rid of the GOAT. That, you know, they needed to be the GOAT Busters to win the World Series again. Crazy, huh? Yeah. But there are no curses. There are not that. That's not what they are. I mean, I understand intent, and I understand trying to, you know, bring energy around people that aren't of their energies. And I understand that. And a lot of people think of that's evil, but that's the thing that I always tell other mediums. I always say, what are you picking up? You know, really, what are you picking up? And how do you determine that it is this? You know, and I understand that 99% of them all have gifts. So I'm not trying to dispute that. I'm just saying, why do you have to make it negative? Why do you have to go down that route? Why can't you see what the real purpose is? The real purpose, more times than not, is to tell you to get out of your own ass, you know, because that's where we live. Because we always go, well, that person did this to me, this person did that to me. Woe is me. You know, that's hell. You've gotten yourself into it. Now get yourself off.
It's easier to blame a curse or a demon than it is to take personal responsibility.
Correct.
I mean, and I'm not judging anyone. Hell, I come from personal experience. There have been, like, I've always been very conscientious of the whole victim mentality, and yet there are still areas where I'm like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. You know, like, I think we've all been there. But it's just bringing the awareness to it and highlighting those moments to where we can, you know, do something more about it, be more proactive with it.
This is a fabulous show, but the demons come and take our audience away.
Oh no, yeah. I'm thinking everyone's just so engrossed. We haven't lost any viewers, but I'm not seeing any comments.
I know, I see no comments. I'm like going, are we off the air? This is the deer got us. Oh, I got my crowd. Oh, everyone's gone.
They shifted us into another dimension.
Just checking.
But just a couple of thoughts as you were going through your story on being cursed. Like, God loved the woman who was so unhappy and hurting that she was absolutely triggered by the idea that they were calling in or they had some personal responsibility with that. Anytime someone takes information that dramatically, there's obviously something more going on there. And you don't even have to be a medium or gifted with insight to know that. That's human nature.
I felt bad. The thing is, I felt bad for her mom and I felt bad for her. I really did. They needed help. That's why I offered. I said, because they didn't have anybody to turn to. And that's the other point. And that's what I want. I'm not making fun of them at all by any means. But when you look at the situation, there is the funny aspect to it. But I knew they were hurting. I knew they needed the help and they had no one to turn to. Come to Psychics Unite. That's why we're there as a group. That's why we're there as an organization, is to be there when people need those answers and need those help and don't have nowhere else to turn to.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's been my mission in life ever since, is to be that person. And so I clearly knew what was going on. I mean, we all did, but I wasn't going to allow an auditorium of people to think that demons would come in and attack. And when it was really, you have to take self-responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it comes down to. And it's difficult. Like then you start getting into things like shadow work and doing emotional healing and trauma review. And that's not always that work is a completely different subject matter. It's not for the faint of heart and definitely requires a lot of support. And that's the reason why it's not always the easiest path, but it is the deepest path. It's the most aligned, authentic path.
Yeah, I've been called shadow work something different.
Oh yeah, what's that?
The mountain.
Oh well, okay. Listen, that mountain is no joke. That is for sure.
I still use you, and I don't use your name, but I do use you going and removing all that stuff in a couple of days.
You can use my name. Use me as an example. Like so.
Holy hell! I was like, no, girl. And now I tell everybody, only one thing a week. One thing a week. Only one thing a week.
I think for 2 weeks I emotionally crippled myself.
You did.
Because I was just like, I just wanted to get through it. Which is another trauma response, trying to rush through something. So you learn so much about yourself. It's really rewarding, very rewarding work, honestly.
It is, but that's all positive things. And even when you're in that living hell now on earth, we can always get out by reaching out. Don't try to do this by yourself. That's why we have friends. That's why we have family. That's why we have groups like Psychics Unite. But that's what we have everybody for. We're here to love and help you. And that to me is what is missing in this world. Because yes, we have to take responsibility ourselves, but we have to have others love us and help us get through this.
Yeah. Take responsibility for yourself, but don't do it by yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%. Absolutely.
By the way, I look damn good tonight. I'm just saying.
You do. You do. You clean up very nice.
I'm trying. You should see how I do readings all day. That's why I don't do video readings.
Do
you roll out of bed right on behind the camera and start doing readings? No camera, audio only.
I know we're at time, but do you have the ability to go over a little bit more, or do you have to get going?
You can go as long as you want. I'm okay.
Oh, okay. Well, don't tell me that.
I can't even know that. I didn't even look, and I can't believe it's an hour already. Holy crap!
Yeah.
But keep going. I'm good. Yeah. I just have to be off by 9 o'clock so I can see Hogan's Heroes.
Oh no, that's fair. We'll get you off by 9.
Everybody knows 9 o'clock on MeTV's Hogan's Heroes. I watch it every night.
You do.
I do. That's not a joke. No. I do. It's a part of my life.
I wanted to kind of go back to like, if demons aren't a thing, then what are we experiencing? And you had touched on trying to kind of peel back the layers. So it becomes an art form when you're getting psychic readings and you're getting mediumship impressions. You want to take the first thing that comes to you, but especially when you're dealing with ghosts or negative entities, they often will try and trick you. And so then you take the first thing that comes to you, but you always kind of do like an internal like bullshit check. You know,
Exactly what it is. If it doesn't make sense to you, it's not right.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up. Yeah, I know, me too. I got it on my legs. But I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, especially after seeing all of the Conjurings and Insidious and Exorcist. They're like, oh, it says it's a demon. It must be a demon. That's what we're working with here. And, you know, there's some fun in that drama. There's a sense of purpose and a sense of importance when you inflate it out to something that's otherworldly.
Right. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. And there's, you know, again, no judgment, but next time that if you are having an experience and the first thing that comes to your mind is demon, I'd like to share my recommendation. I'd like to hear yours, but I personally think when you get a spirit that is to the point where they are just so angry and so ugly acting that it comes across as a demon, what you're dealing with is a bully.
Yeah.
Down. They're just a bully. And the moment you stop and you confront them and you say, absolutely no way, not in this form. If you want my attention, you will fix yourself. And then hopefully they fix themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I have put up boundaries like that, not only to protect myself or my group, but it is also with the intention. I want them to know that I'm still there to help them. I'm still there to hear them and listen to them.
We're off the air again.
Oh, are we really?
Yeah. I just looked at my phone. $747 Sharon said there's a problem with the show.
So for about 10 minutes we've been off.
Yeah, but hey, we're recording and it's good. Hi everybody.
We're gonna have,
the demons came.
we're gonna have to piece this episode together like a puzzle.
I know exactly. That's all right.
Well, what would you like to do? Would you
keep going? Let's go back. People are waiting.
All right. Well, let me start a new broadcast and I'll send you the link again.
I'm gonna run to the potty then.
Okay, go for it.